Your mic is muted.
Good Lord. Okay. Oh, all right. Here we go yet again. Let's do this. This is what happens when you're live, folks. Welcome to day 3 of the 2025 Revitalize Your Midlife Symposium. See what happens in real time, you guys. I'm okay with it. This event is designed to inspire, empower, and enlighten us all as we navigate. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself. The intriguing journey of midlife together. June isn't just marking the arrival of summer, my favorite season. We're also celebrating my birthday month. This symposium is a testament to my personal belief that everyone deserves the right to feel good in their body and my ongoing commitment to lifelong learning. Ooh, midlife is a period ripe with reflection, growth, and most importantly, opportunity. Growth right here, folks, right in real time. It's a phase where we can leverage our past experiences, welcome change, and confidently stride into our best selves. My aim with this symposium is to equip you with the tools, insights, and motivation to successfully maneuver this thrilling chapter of our lives. If you leave this event with even one piece of valuable information, I'll consider this symposium a triumph. This year's symposium is sponsored by Small Space Pilates and the Sisters in Service podcast. If while we are live, you have any questions, please post them and we will try to answer them. Well, I won't answer them, but my guest will while we're live. If you're unable to join us in real time, every moment of this symposium will be available for replay. So whether you're in search of strategies to boost your health, fitness, or overall well-being, this symposium serves as your portal to a midlife brimming with vitality and happiness. So now to my guest. I would like to welcome Jill Quinn. Thrilled, actually. And Jill is our guest speaker for today. She's the founder of Quinn Essentials Wellness Solutions. She has a master's degree and a passion for holistic wellness. She has dedicated her career to helping clients enhance their core strength, incorporate more plant-based foods into their diets, and live a more heart-centered life. She has an impressive resume, 20 years, 25 years, excuse me, in the health and fitness industry. She holds certifications as a personal trainer, Pilates instructor, nutrition coach, life coach, Reiki practitioner, and menopause coaching specialist. Ooh, I just got hot reading all of that. She, she is deeply passionate about supporting individuals, particularly women, through the menopause journey. This passion is evident in how she does her online coaching program called Reclaim. And that's what we're talking about today. So I would like to welcome my friend, my bestie, my queen, Jill Quinn.
Hi, Kat. It is wonderful to be here with you, and I'm glad that we can hear your beautiful voice.
Hey,
You
I'm a real person, y'all. I'm not a bot. This is real.
I'm honored to be here and be part of this awesome event and this conversation. As you know, I am passionate about supporting women's health, particularly in midlife. Um, Even before I was part of the We Do Not Care Club, I mean, if you've been on social media lately, you have seen this amazing trend of women in midlife just reclaiming the whole entire
Mhm,
experience. But before I was a
mhm,
part of that, these are the women that I cared for and served in my, gosh, 25 plus years now in this
mhm.
health and wellness space. Um, it's not something that menopause is not something that we can avoid. It happens to every human born with a uterus. I became passionate about this in my own experience because I had a terrible introduction into the foray of my symptoms with my own doctor. I was dismissed. I was told, oh, it's natural. Just, basically white knuckle it all the way through. Now, look, albeit this is a natural process, it doesn't mean that
Mhm,
you have to suffer and that you have to go through it alone. And most
mhm.
importantly, it's not all in your head, even though it may begin in the brain, not the ovaries
Exactly. Yeah.
as we think it does.
Well, Jill, here's my first question. How many women each year go through menopause? Do you know?
Oh my gosh, right now on the planet, there are, it's like a billion people. I mean, think about
Oh
it.
my gosh.
50, and it's only going to keep on going.
Mhm.
This is half of the population, 51%, right? Like we are here for
Mhm.
this. We matter. Our experience matters.
Mhm.
It's a new chapter. It's not listen, the only thing that ends in menopause is your period, and that's on period. Okay, that's it. The rest is a vital, vibrant,
Mhm.
amazing time of new beginnings. Getting there may feel disconcerting. And that's why we
Yes.
have strategies and tools to help
Mhm.
support one another. And having conversations like this can help people feel less and less alone.
Mhm. I feel it's almost like menopause is almost like you're on an island by yourself,
It can feel that way.
and you just feel because even when you talk to another woman, her symptoms may not be the same as yours. So you're like, well,
Correct.
why is she getting those symptoms? And I'm getting these because we're all individuals. So for
Correct.
everyone listening, or maybe there's people listening that haven't even been through perimenopause yet, or maybe they're starting to, what are some of the symptoms of perimenopause?
Now, this list is long and they can be the basic, like you've heard: mood
Hmm.
swings, anxiety, hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia. Those are kind of like the basic ones. But the most intriguing, I'll go with the list. I'll start at the top: acid reflux,
Ew.
acne. Think of menopause, perimenopause as like puberty 2.0. Are you serious right now? This is what we're
Acne in
doing.
like your 50s?
Yes,
Ew.
this is a thing because hormones go haywire. Alcohol intolerance, as if it wasn't unfair enough. Okay. Why? Take my joy. No, I'm just kidding. Anxiety, something called
Mhm.
arthralgia, which is joint pain. So
Mm.
if you have all of a sudden, with no injury or reason, to feel more and more stiff or pain in your joints,
Mhm.
that's estrogen. That's estrogen leaving your body. And it's out of nowhere. Okay. And it can feel like, oh, I go to bed, I stand up in the morning, and I feel all of a sudden overnight that I've
Mhm.
gone from feeling vibrant to very stiff and painful. I joke, but it's not, it's not funny. It hurts. Arthritis can increase, asthma, autoimmune disease, new or worsening, bloating. That's fun. Body composition changes, and belly fat accumulation. So it is a complete redistribution of
Mhm.
everything. And that's part and parcel because estrogen, again, there are three types of estrogen. So estrone, estradiol, and estriol. Estrone
Mhm.
is generated by adipose and visceral fat. Like
Mhm.
we are looking for this type of estrogen to be made from your fat tissue. So when your estradiol says, bye, I'm out, you are
Mhm.
going to retain more of that belly fat, super stubborn, because we're trying to pump more estrogen into our body. It's not very,
Yes.
very nice. As a matter of fact, it's quite rude. Um, Body odor. Okay, again, back 2.0, menopause
Oh
is
my
puberty
God.
2.0. So if all of a sudden you feel like that's a little bit more pungent than I remember it being, it's like puberty 2.0. Brain fog. If you have
Huge.
experienced this, you are not
Mhm.
alone in perimenopause. Now, there are some people who experience zero of these. Bless you. Good for you. That's
Mhm.
amazing. But for the most part, you may experience things that you don't recognize as a
Mhm.
symptom of perimenopause. Oftentimes, it can seem like, oh, I'm just getting older. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm overlooking it. And it's
Mhm.
important to know the symptoms and the vast symptoms that are part of menopause, because some of them can be cardiovascular related or cognitive related. And we don't want to overlook very different types of concerns that
Mhm.
could be detrimental to your overall
Mhm.
health, whereas these are hormonally driven and will subside.
Mhm.
Breast tenderness, again, puberty 2.0, burning sensations in the mouth and tongue, electrical zings, chronic fatigue syndrome, crawling skin sensations. This is called formication, and it can feel like, this is a super weird one. It can feel like you've got bugs crawling all like tingly, itchy, like very strange feeling. Decreased desire for sex and libido. Dental problems. Women in menopause tend to have more cavities and dental issues, again, because of the down regulation of estrogen. So
Mhm.
if you notice that, you can thank good old estrogen for that. Depression, difficulty concentrating, dizzy spells, dry or itchy eyes, dry mouth, dry skin, eczema, itchy ears. Why? That's so weird. Like, what are these things?
It is so, I
Why?
love that. That's
I
so
have that.
bizarre.
And they
Itchy
change over
ears.
time. Like, you can start with just a few, and then as you go, because this is not a one and done, a month. This can be upwards of 10 years of a process. So knowing what you're in for, what to look for, can help calm you down, prepare you, and give you strategies on how to manage some of these things, because they can come out of nowhere literally overnight, seemingly overnight. Dry mouth, dry skin, electric shock sensations, fatigue, fibromyalgia, frozen shoulder. So this is an interesting one. This increases quite a bit for women in menopause, and all of a sudden you just can't raise your arm.
Yeah.
Why?
It's more prevalent in women than men, right?
For sure, because of the, again, down regulation of those hormones. Genitourinary syndrome, what that means is I got to tinkle every 5 seconds, and don't make me sneeze, and do not make me cough. And the two at the same time, you better cross them legs, girl, or get into pelvic floor therapy. Okay.
Right.
I mean, part of the reason I'm so passionate about opening up the conversation about this is because it's such a strange, bizarre experience, and you feel like your body is literally betraying you. And
Yes.
you think, like, is everything going wrong all at once? You're not
Yeah.
alone. And I guess if you approach it with some humor too, it can help take some of the major feelings out of it, because it's a lot.
How do you get humorous about that? You're so busy trying to, you wake up and you have one symptom, and then you wake up another day and you have two more symptoms, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll just, have humor," and you're like, you just want to punch somebody in the face when they say, "Oh,
I
it's a
mean, it's a
natural
combination.
thing."
Listen, it is a combination for me anyway of like laughter, because I can't believe what else is coming at me,
Yeah.
and deep compassion for my experience as a woman who is turning 52 next month. I'm grateful to have that privilege of aging. And I am healthy and well, and I can manage these symptoms. Sometimes I can feel overwhelmed because I feel a stranger to myself all at the same
Yeah.
time. So it is a pendulum swing, and the education that I hope to offer is what I didn't get. It is the
Exactly. Yeah.
comprehensive community space. Honestly, if I didn't have you to talk about these things when I first started going through this, I felt like I would be going crazy. It is important to have a friend, a sister friend, okay, who can share these things with you. Unfortunately for me, when it was time for me to experience this, I couldn't ask my mom. She had passed, and she had surgical hysterectomy, or surgically induced menopause. And that's a very different experience for people. And those symptoms come on immediately.
Yes.
We could talk about this subject ad nauseum, but it is important to have the conversation with your female
Yeah.
family members, especially your mom, your aunts, your grandma, whoever you have, your sisters, who can share insights on some of their experience, and you can compare notes and commiserate.
I have a question. So when are you, for those that may not know, when are you officially in menopause? You go through the perimenopause, and then I believe you have not had, a menstrual cycle in 12 months, correct? You are
Correct.
officially in
So here's how you
menopause.
can understand where you are in this transition. There's pre-menopause, which is the moment you actually, when you're a youngster, again, we talked about puberty, when you get your period. That's pre-menopause, okay? You are in your reproductive age. Right around 35 is when you can start to expand. That seems early.
Yes,
You
it
can start to
does.
experience some of these symptoms, and the viability of your eggs changes. It's one of the reasons why women who become pregnant around age 35 are considered to be elderly maternity, advanced maternal age. These are the medical terms. I do not prescribe to this category. I was offended when I was given this label myself as a pregnant person at 35 years old. I was like, what are you talking about, elderly? I'm a queen at 35. I'm gonna have this baby. So but it's reproductive age, right? So it can be Around 35, mid 30s, it starts to change. The way your cycle shows up, the length, the duration, the intensity, symptoms start to change. You're
Mhm.
exhausted. And we oftentimes, and this is what happens with women, because especially around this time in life, we are parenting, we are working, we're
Mhm.
thriving in our careers, we are taking
Mhm.
care of others first. And we
Mhm.
don't realize that we're tired, not only because we're tired because life is lifing, but these are the
Mhm.
symptoms that are changing inside of our own bodies on a physiological and neuroendocrinological way. So
Oh.
you go through the perimenopause phase, which can be anywhere from a year to 5 years or more. It depends on your own. I know. I'm sorry. I wish I had better news. I wish I did. But this is what it is. Okay. So
Mhm.
your cycle starts to become quite erratic or longer in duration,
Mhm.
shorter in duration, more intense in its symptoms.
Mhm.
You do not experience menopause, which is literally one day on the calendar, until you have gone 12 full months with no
Mhm.
cycle. Now, you may go through this 3 months no cycle, back to square one,
Mhm.
8 months no cycle, back to square one, and you get your period. This
Mhm.
happened for me 3 times a charm. I would go 9 months back to square one
Mhm.
with a period. I'd go 10 months, and finally,
Mhm.
it took me 3 years to go through
I
the
went
full
11 months. I went a whole
11
11
months.
months. And I'm like, what is
Correct.
this crap?
I cried. I literally did. The third time, it was 11 months, and I cried, and I said, I can't believe this. It was so
Mhm.
scary. I even thought, for
Mhm.
example, even though you're in perimenopause, you can actually become pregnant. Even if you're like, yes. So I had a scare. I had a scare. I thought, oh my gosh, what? I was like 44 years old, and I had gone 2 months with no cycle, and I thought,
Mhm.
are you kidding me right now? This is not what I had on my bingo card. Oh my goodness.
Surprise.
But I didn't know that it could be
Mhm.
perimenopause. And this is why conversations like this are so
Mhm.
important. You don't know what you don't know. So you don't even know what to look
Exactly.
for. And
Yeah.
that was it. So menopause is one day on the
Mhm.
calendar,
Mhm.
after which you've experienced 12 months with no cycle.
Mhm.
So 12 months and one day, you are now
Mhm.
postmenopausal. And that can
Mhm.
last the rest of your
Forever.
life.
Yeah.
Now, my doctor told me, and she is a specialist in just the gynecological care. She is not an OB,
Mhm.
she is just a gynecologist. And she said, you spend most of your life in the postnatal state. And we don't care for the postnatal woman in the same way that we do
Mhm.
the prenatal woman.
Absolutely
And it
agree.
was a revelation to me when
Mhm.
she explained it in that manner, because we have
Mhm.
so much more life ahead of us in that filter. You know what I'm saying? That
Yes.
lens. We
Yes.
think focus on the prenatal, but we got a lot of life
Mhm.
to live yet.
We do. Here's a question for you. Is your so just like we're all individuals, we're in puberty, we get our menstrual cycle, and some girls it's not a big deal, and for
Mm,
some girls it's a huge deal. There's all of these not bad symptoms, but you get the bloating, you get
mm.
the mood swings, you get all this thing. Is that kind of a window kind of thing to how your menopause is going to be?
Yes, ma'am.
That
Yes,
sucks.
I know. I know it. And I didn't know that either until I
Mhm.
learned and read and understood. Yes. So if you were the type of person who experienced fairly easy periods
Mhm.
for the most part, most likely you will have less severe symptoms. But there's really no telling. Some things that can impact it are the way in which you experience puberty.
Mhm.
Women of color tend to have more intense symptoms.
Mhm.
Latin American women tend to have more intense symptoms. Um, Women who are heavier tend to have more intense symptoms. It can be induced, like I said, through surgery. If you
Mhm.
have a high stress lifestyle, this can
Mhm.
also impact the way in which you experience menopause if you don't have a way to regulate your nervous system. So, managing your
Mhm.
stress definitely is the way to go.
Yeah. I have a question for you about, when a woman finally realizes that they could possibly be in perimenopause, what's the first thing you feel that a woman should do? Because, I let it go and I let it go and I bought all these supplements, I did all this thing and nothing happened
Mm,
until I was at a point where I was so desperate that I really didn't know what to do and I went to a specialist.
for sure.
And so can you give us some pointers as far as when you realize that you're getting these hot flashes, these things what can you do? What's the best? I'm not the best, but can you give us some pointers on how we can navigate it a little better? I mean, do we need to go
Sure.
to a specialist? Do we need to, read up on it? What are some things we can do?
First step is to track your symptoms, to
Mhm.
understand what you're really experiencing. I like an analog method. I'm not one to put a lot of my health information into an app, but if you are a digital
Mhm.
person, by all means, there are ways that you can do that. Good old pen and paper will do. Keep a journal of your symptoms.
Mhm.
What are you feeling? How often? Intensity. I have some trackers of my own that I use with my coaching clients, very simple methods of tracking. Do some research in your area. Who is a certified menopause practitioner and provider? So you can go onto the
Mhm.
Menopause Society, the National Menopause Foundation, to find a doctor in your area that is certified in helping support women going through
Mhm.
this. But more importantly, once you've started to track your symptoms, the basic tenets of good lifestyle medicine, in my opinion, apply. And the sooner you apply these skills, the better. Good nutrition, anti inflammatory diet, eat more plants, lean protein, plants, fiber, all of the things. Moderate your alcohol intake. Take good care of your sleep routine. I tell my clients all the time, a great day starts the night before. So we're basically like giant toddlers running around. We need a sleep routine. Okay, go to bed early, turn your
Oh, that's
TV
why I
off.
need a nap.
Correct, correct. We get, a good day starts the night before. So I encourage people to practice good sleep hygiene. Once you feel like your nutrition and your sleep is in a pretty good rhythm, exercise. And the exercise programming that you do in midlife hits a little differently than what you might have done in your 20s.
Mhm.
I was a cardio queen. I'll be the first one to say hit workouts, cycle. I taught all the things. I did all of that. And I was an adrenaline junkie. I chased that sensation. I loved it. It
Mhm.
did not love me back in my 40s because what you don't
Mhm.
realize, and this is our conditioning too, work harder, calorie deficit, high intensity. That is not
Mhm.
the prescription of midlife. You must support with protein and fiber nutritionally, quality sleep, strength training. And I'm talking about not your 5 pound weights. I'm talking about strength training, heavy babes. Okay. We need to be able to do the things. And so, how do I
Mhm.
encourage my clients to do this? First of all, we talk about something called a menopause vision statement. Aligning your exercise routine to the things that you love. Because look, at motivation is going to leave the building during this time. You are not going to want to do these things. You're going to take a nap. You'll be tight. Your bones are going to
Mhm.
hurt. You're going to be hot.
Mhm.
So, what do you love? For me, it's travel. I want to be
Mhm.
independent to travel. I want to lift my suitcase.
Yes.
I want to be able to do this for the
Mhm.
rest of my life. So, we got to deadlift and we got to deadlift heavy.
Mhm.
We've got to focus on the foundational movements. These are good principles and tools to put in your toolkit at any phase. Walking, 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 walking.
Mhm.
Cardio in a zone 2, moderate intensity zone where you feel like you can have a conversation. Go walk with your friend.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be that complicated.
No, it does not.
Community, that's another tool. And
That's
stress
huge.
management. Community is
Mhm.
huge. And we don't realize
Mhm.
how much we need it,
Mhm.
um, especially in this midlife place. We need our
Mhm.
sisterhood around us. And even if it is a found family, even more special because it's the family that we choose.
Yes.
Volunteering, getting involved in spiritual organizations, picking up a
Mhm.
new hobby, these types of
Mhm.
things, and joining symposiums like this.
Mhm.
If you don't have a therapist or someone who can support the mental health challenges of
Mhm.
menopause, that is another thing that I
Mhm.
recommend. But these are practices that could be applied to you at any stage. The sooner,
Mhm.
the better. Don't wait.
I think what's interesting is when you talked about a therapist, which I think you were my therapist actually, um, is menopause is that time because as women, when things happen to us and not necessarily in a good way, we tend to push it down. We push
Mm.
it down, and menopause bubbles it up and we push it back down. And menopause is that time to say, to deal with those feelings, good, bad, or indifferent. There may be no solution, but at least you can come to terms with it
Mm.
and get it out of your body so it's not aggravating you anymore. So I think
Because
that's
let me tell you
huge.
what, the aggravation factor
Mhm.
is high during menopause. I joke all
Right.
the time, like, I'm gonna charge an aggravation tax. You aggravate me, I'm charging you. Okay.
I like that.
It's an
Aggravation
aggravation tax.
tax.
But, this is all kidding aside, the symptoms of anxiety and depression that are part of the menopause journey, it's like
Mhm.
the volume gets ratcheted way up. It is so
Yes.
amplified. And if you are someone who has never experienced these things before, this state of
Mhm.
being, it is disconcerting. I
Mhm.
experienced a lot of change in this area myself,
Mhm.
and I'm so grateful for the therapist that I had. A statistic: women in the age range between 45 and 55 are the
Mhm.
most likely to commit suicide.
Oh, that's sad.
It is
Mhm.
shocking because they feel hopeless, alone,
Mhm.
foreign to themselves, overwhelmed. So please, I encourage everyone, do
Mhm.
not hide in your feelings alone, because you are not. We have
Mhm.
all been there. A symptom of menopause is actually suicidal ideation. I did not know that, and that is incredibly serious.
Yes. I think what's interesting is when we were talking about the changes in our body, and I think you and I had talked about this, and I looked in the mirror after taking a shower and I was like, whose body is that?
I mean, who's
You
that girl?
know? And then I said, well, just imagine what your body would look like if you had never exercised. And I freaked myself out. I was
Right?
like, oh my
I
gosh.
mean, I can't imagine because I have been teaching, training, moving, doing. I
Mhm.
started out as a dancer, so I've been moving this body since I'm 3 years old. That's 49 years, y'all. If I had not been
Yeah.
doing this movement all along, and I have never stopped moving, okay, I have been doing some type of
Mhm.
something since then. So the sooner you can start, the better. It's never too
Mhm.
late, okay? It's never
Mhm.
too late. So if you're not someone who is in a formal exercise program yet, don't
Mhm.
wait, start tomorrow. And it
Yes.
can start just by going for a walk. There
Mhm.
are a lot of recommendations out there, and it can feel like a fire hose of suggestions. Start
Mhm.
simple. The way that I usually recommend for people is to start with one habit at a time until
Mhm.
you've done that for 2 solid weeks and you feel really confident, probably 80% confident about the way in which you go through that habit before you add on anything else. Because protein intake
Absolutely.
alone can feel like a damn full time job.
Right. Exactly.
Hmm.
I think I here's a question for you. In your opinion, why isn't menopause covered by insurance?
Oh,
Why?
honey, because they think we're small little men. Now, you can best believe I'm about to go on a rant that if one person of the male
Mhm.
gender had a hot
Mhm.
flash or decrease in
Mhm.
libido, this thing would be
Mhm.
funded to the max. We would have access to all the things. It is absolutely unbelievable to me that women have been
Mhm.
overlooked in the research, not included in cohorts on situations that affect them, then diseases
Mhm.
that affect them in
Mhm.
hormonal changes that are unique and specific to the
Mhm.
female body alone. The research has
Mhm.
not been inclusive of
Right.
our own bodies. So that is
Yeah.
why I think it is not talked about in the same
Mhm.
way as it's being demanded to be discussed
Mhm.
now. It was brushed off as something, like I said earlier,
Mhm.
natural. I don't know if you remember back in the day, way back in the day, you
Mhm.
you'd be committed. They'd send you to the sanatorium, okay?
Oof.
If you
Yeah.
experience these
Mhm.
hot flashes, because they do make you feel a little bit cuckoo. Yes,
Yes.
eating enough protein is definitely a full-time job. Thank you,
Full-time
Lacey.
job,
We're living, it
yes.
is like full-time. But I do believe that there is a discrepancy in the quality of research that has been done. That is rapidly changing because we have so many professional medical advocates taking to the stages, taking to Washington, D.C., from celebrities to scientists. Everybody is talking about this.
Yeah,
And you know, when Oprah has a talk about it, it's going to get serious.
it's
Now, a couple of
huge.
years, yeah, she had a talk a couple of years ago when she brought everybody to the table. She said, "We're not doing this anymore."
Yeah, we're going to talk about this.
Mm,
I think when I was going through, it felt as though there was no information at all. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to ask. And now there's such a plethora. It's almost like drinking from a fire hose.
mm.
It's take this, do this, go here, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. And I just feel as though, the information is coming out, and I think that's great. But now I think that, you have to find your person. And for those of you that are wondering, this is your person right here. I know her, I can vouch for her. But I've always felt as though, you know, you always see these, during pregnancy, and you would see these men put these things on their belly to simulate contractions. I have always felt that if a woman is pregnant, she has a contraction, the man should feel it. And I also feel like if you're going through menopause, every time you get a hot flash, he gets a hot flash.
Listen, this would be excellent. I would be so here for this. I would love to experience this. Okay. You've seen the like period simulator too, where they have like one cramp and they're like absolutely over it. Um, I've even seen this trend
Absolutely.
on like Instagram or TikTok where you have a girlfriend or a spouse who's showing their husband how to insert a tampon into a water bottle
Oh my
and it
God.
expands like this. And they're like, that goes inside of you. Yes, sir. What did you think was happening
Mhm.
in this situation? The problem is that there's a lot of secrecy, perhaps, or shame, or keeping it under the veil of conversation. I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
The female body, people get freaked out if you say the word vagina, for goodness sakes.
I know.
So, of course, the conversation around what's happening with your uterus and
Mhm.
your menstrual cycle, all of these things
Mhm.
feel very, men get weirded
Mhm.
out by this.
They
Okay.
do.
Not to mention, our moms didn't really talk about this with us. Their moms didn't
Mhm.
talk about this with
Mhm.
them. So we have generations of hush hush around the subject. And
Mhm.
we want to blow the doors off on the conversation because, like,
Mhm.
why didn't anybody tell me about this?
Mhm. Well, we get blown off by doctors too.
Mm,
I remember going to a doctor and they're like, "Well, we would take your blood, but it's just going to change. Your hormones are going to change." So and so I kind of just stepped back and I said, "Well, let me try supplements." And I was taking so many supplements.
mm.
Girl, I
I hear you.
spent
I mean, I had
more
a whole
money on
kit
supplements. And finally I said, I need to go to an expert. Like I'm one of those people that try to figure it out for myself.
for
If
sure.
I can't, I'm going to go to someone who specializes in just that. And that's exactly what I've been doing. It helps me. I get pellets. And
Hmm.
speaking of which, what kind of different modalities are there to help women? Because people think, oh, I don't want the pellets. I don't want to do estrogen because there's still that, you
Mm.
know, it can cause, different things. So can you, just tell us a little bit of information about the different modalities that are available for women
Hmm.
if they feel like they need it?
I'm going to go backwards. So I'll start with the statement of hormone replacing can cause XYZ.
Mhm.
So the Women's Health Study um, was a study that gave us a lot of misinformation around the impact of estrogen
Mhm.
because they did not administer that protocol properly with
Mhm.
progesterone support. And we now know better also that that cohort was the wrong age for what they were looking to treat. And this is sort of, that was the fire under the tail of a lot of these women in medicine, in science, to
Mhm.
call out um, the science and rewrite the narrative there. The medical gaslighting is real. It is so for real. So, why I am passionate is you've got to be your own advocate. You have to
Mhm.
learn what is available to you. That being said, most people want to start the natural route as long as they possibly can, and it'll work
Mhm.
until it doesn't. And I'll go back to the beginning where we said not everyone experiences menopause with the same intensity.
Mhm.
So you may be someone who black cohosh and primrose oil and teas like passion flower and lemon balm can work for you.
Mhm.
Maca root was great for me. Ashwagandha helps. L-theanine helps. Melatonin
Mhm.
helps. There are a myriad of supplements, and I'm going to list off the
Mhm.
ones that have worked the best for me. For sleep, for sure, magnesium glycinate. Not
Mhm.
citrate. This is important because you're going to be having some other kinds of issues if you take too much of the citrate kind. Glycinate, about 45 minutes before you want to be sleeping. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, you can take it in a gummy type. I use a powder because it's more bioavailable for me. I benefit from melatonin with a little bit of L-theanine in it. It's a nice chill. So that's my
Mhm.
sleep routine. Sometimes in the winter, I'll even do like a valerian or a chamomile tea because I like something warm,
Mhm.
but not too much because then you have the tinkle. In the morning, creatine. Brain
Mm.
health. Creatine, creatine, creatine.
Huge.
There is a lot of
Mhm.
research out there on the impact of creatine for a healthy brain, and we want
Mhm.
all of those synapses firing and the cognition really, really sharp. So it helps with brain fog and
Mhm.
cognition. Vitamin D. So a lot of women
Mhm.
get extra deficient during menopause, and depending
Yes.
on your own labs, B6 and
Mhm.
or B12. So those are the things that some
Mhm.
women prefer also adding collagen. I am a vegan, so I do a vegan-based
Mhm.
collagen and omega 3s. Those are the supplements
Yes.
that are in
Fish
your
oil.
toolbox all the time, all the time.
Mhm.
And if you don't eat animal stuff, you can do an algae oil too. Those are really helpful. You can add flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, all those types of great omega 3
Mhm.
sources. That will work. I mean, you can do things like black cohosh, etc., and they will work until they don't. That's when I started to
Mhm.
explore the HRT route. I was super hesitant because
Mhm.
my mother had fatty liver, and I did not want to expose my liver to this. But what I didn't know is the estrogen patch is not processed through your liver. A transdermal
Mhm.
estradiol patch is less hormone than you actually produce naturally and less than you get in a birth control type supplement. So I highly recommend if
Mhm.
you go the natural route and you hit a wall,
Mhm.
because there are a lot of supplements out there that can help you.
Mhm.
B propolis is phenomenal for night sweats. There are a myriad of companies out there that can help.
Mhm.
I did not have access to an affordable HRT plan through my insurance at the time that I hit this stage. I cried in my car when my doctor prescribed me the Combi patch, and it was just the patch and the progesterone to the tune of upwards of $600 because my insurance wouldn't cover it. I was so desperate for sleep, I didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
This is where I discovered the company called Evernow or My Ally, My Winona. There are so many out there now. These are
Mhm.
telehealth companies that are run by nurse practitioners. Your HSA will pay for it. You fill out a
Mhm.
questionnaire and they will send you in the mail your estrogen and your progesterone. Again, that will work until it doesn't. This is why finding a provider near you
Mhm.
is key because I believe that labs matter. Not
Yes.
necessarily because you're going to get that blood work and it's going to
Mhm.
pinpoint this is where your levels are. They do change in a day,
Mhm.
but it establishes a baseline over time so that
Yes.
you can see the decrease and manage those changes with your provider in an evidence-based way. You're not just throwing
Mhm.
spaghetti at the wall because in time you
Exactly.
might need to add testosterone in there. I take
Mhm.
all the things. Okay. I've got vaginal estrogen, testosterone, estradiol patch. Um, did I say progesterone? Probably I did. The teas, the
Mhm.
creatine, the supplements. It's a full support.
It's a part-time job, actually.
Correct. But you know what? The benefits to being on
Mhm.
HRT are
Mhm.
multi organ system wide. They are brain protective. They are cardio protective. They are
Mm-hmm.
bone protective and
Protective,
muscle. Like
yes.
they are protective. So
Mm-hmm.
the people who start HRT much sooner in this
Mm-hmm.
journey have a lot more support for
Mm-hmm.
longer with the benefits of those hormones in
Yeah.
their body.
I think it was interesting when I was taking the supplements, and whenever you take a supplement, it says take one or take two, right?
Mm.
And I kept thinking, okay, well, my body's different from your body. How is taking two for me going to be the same as taking two for you? But at the same time, I didn't know if I was supposed to take less, if I was supposed to take more. And finally, I just gave up. I got so tired of just trying to figure it out. And I remember I went to an HRT specialist. I went back 3 times
Mm.
just until I was like, okay. And she did my blood work, and I went back, and she walks in and she goes, "Oh, honey, you don't feel good, do you?" Because everything had tanked. I mean,
Thanks.
so when I say I take the pellets, I like it a one and done. I go in, I don't have to worry about it. But you know what it does for me? It makes me feel normal.
Yes.
Like I can get through my day, I can get done what I need to get done. And there's nothing worse than sitting in front of a client and all of a sudden sweat's trickling down your face like this.
I
And they're
mean,
like,
it is,
and you're doing this, and they're going, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm fine.
it's
Just give
like,
me a fan."
it's like a bloom, right? Like
Hmm.
it's literally, and I used to joke with my clients in the winter, it's like having a kerosene heater inside of you,
Yes.
just turned all the
Hmm.
way up. It comes from the
Hmm.
inside out. It's so
Inside out.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's
Hmm.
embarrassing because
It
it's so
is.
much sweat. You can't concentrate. You're doing this
Mm-mm.
and this. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you can't think straight.
Mm-mm.
The
You can't do
pellets are an
anything.
option. With the thing with the pellets, and it's totally personal because there are
Hmm.
pellets, there are oral supplementation, there are
Hmm.
transdermals, there are creams. Um, you're going to have to decide with your practitioner what
Hmm.
approach is best
Hmm.
for you.
Hmm.
Over time and over the years, the dosage of that therapy is going to change. You
Hmm.
may need more in the beginning or less. And
Or
over
less.
time, as
Hmm.
your hormones fluctuate, your
Hmm.
therapist, your gynecologist, your practitioner will be able to adjust those different doses to what you need.
Hmm.
At first, I did not need testosterone. When I
Hmm.
got it and I put those little pea-sized gel drops on my thigh, I was like, oh, there she is. Oh my God. It was almost instant. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, my friend is back.
I'm like, where you been, girl? Where you been hiding? I have missed you for real though. I It was an instant clarity.
Hmm.
And within
Yeah.
days of being on progesterone, my sleep was starting to
Hmm.
improve. I can't say that it's perfect, but it is
Yeah.
so much
It's
better.
much better. Yes.
Much better. And
Yeah.
I've gone through 3 or 4 different types of estrogen dosing over
Hmm.
the last 4
Hmm.
years of being on
Hmm.
HRT. Now, for some people, HRT makes them absolutely feel worse. So it is
Hmm.
completely personal.
Hmm.
For me, I'm an advocate.
Hmm.
Have that conversation with your provider.
Yeah. And keep asking questions. Someone that I know very well always says, ask until you're clear,
Hmm.
and just keep asking. Like I said, I went back 3 times, and finally I just said, okay, sign me up. But you have to get the information, start being your own advocate, start reading, start talking to other women, start seeing what's out there, and then make the decision about what it is. Now, like you had said, you started a baseline. So the blood work's a baseline, and they bring you up to where they think, you should be. And then they adjust it either up or
Hmm.
down from there. And the one thing about pellets is, once they're in, and you have to deal with it. But I was fine. I
Mm.
felt so good and still feel so good with the pellets, but other women maybe not so much. So I think you have to really, really ask the question, and or questions. So Jill, tell us a little bit about your Reclaim program. How does it support women through their menopause journey?
Reclaim is a 6-week online small group coaching program that is a combination of online modules that you do at your own pace. And then we do a weekly group live coaching session. The 6 modules include heavy education on what's going on inside of your body, because I believe that education is power. It's not
Yes.
overly sciencey, but you should be able to identify what is happening to you. This is your home. You need to understand what is going on. If your AC unit is broken, I'm not saying you need to be an HVAC person, but you need to be able to know how to regulate that thermostat, if you feel me. Okay. So we need to understand
Absolutely.
what is happening inside the body. So we spend some time understanding what is menopause, what is happening with your hormones between your brain and your ovaries. Then we go into nutrition, exercise, sleep and stress management. We talk about community, and I give an in-depth, personalized plan for each person. We come up with it along the way. The community piece is huge. The cornerstone of the program is understanding your menopause vision statement. It's an opportunity for you to get to know yourself and what you want to create going forward with these tools in your toolkit, because you're going to need a little more of this on some days and a little bit more of that on the others. We are going to teach you how to prepare food that is healthy, because a lot of times the barrier to healthy nutrition is, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. How do I organize my exercise program? What should I be doing? You say, I need to manage my stress. What does that even look like? We do meditation.
What does it mean?
What is it? What is that? I'm so stressed out, I can't even manage my stress. We talk about, I know we talk about our feelings, but we do. We talk about breath work, EFT, emotional freedom technique, progressive muscle relaxation, yoga nidra. These are some tools that we put in your toolbox to help you chill out when you're feeling fired up. The community part, like I said, it's just the best part, because you just don't want to feel alone. And it is an opportunity for you to reclaim the experience rather than feel overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I was determined. I said, this is not, I've been through, by the time you get to menopause, you've been through so much in your life, good, bad, and indifferent. And I was not going to let this beat me. I was like, oh, we are not doing this. I have to find a way to help help myself. And I feel like when you get to that success thing, I always feel like women have a PhD in their own body, it's because you've learned so many different things to help you get to where you are right now.
This is a time in life where there is so much change happening, not only from within your own body, but in life. For some people, they're becoming empty nesters. For others, they're having career transitions, whether it's a promotion or retirement. Some people are becoming grandparents or losing a parent. There is so much that is changing. Relationships change. A lot of people go through divorce during menopause. So not only is your body changing, but every relationship and experience in your life is changing at the same time. And it can feel like too much.
Overwhelming. Yeah.
We are accustomed to not putting our needs first. So part of the program is understanding, what do I want and why? What is important to me and why? What do I want to do more of in this next phase? And how can I live a healthy lifestyle that supports the things that I love?
Absolutely. Jill, here's a question for you. How do you help women go through this menopause change? What advice do you give to women during this time? Like, if I come to you and I say, Jill, I'm just, what would you say to me?
I would say, explain a little bit more of what that means for you.
You don't know what means?
because it can feel like that. This conversation happens like this all the time. I just feel blah. Okay.
It feels yuck. Yes.
In what place? In what way? Is it your body? Okay. Is it your mind? Is it your emotions? Do you want to stay in the bed? What is one thing that you feel like you could do today? Like, where do you need the most support? This is an opportunity. The way in which I approach it is for me to care for you. It's for me to hold you in a space and help you pull out your own voice and identify your own needs, because that can be muted. So the way in which we go about this, I feel unmotivated to exercise today. Okay, we're going to start with some breathing. We're going to take a body scan and we're going to see where we feel the most resistance in the body. Where's that feeling like it's living in your body? Okay, maybe it's in my shoulder. All right, get on the table. We'll do some Theragun work. We'll get that loose. If you're not in person with me and we're doing a virtual session, we'll do some foam rolling, some band work. There's always a way in. Some days you're going to feel ready to go. All right, we're going to start with some higher intensity work. We'll do, some jump board on the reformer or something a little bit more intense. But it is an opportunity to check in every time I meet with a woman in this stage of life. How's your body feeling today? How can I support you today? Learning how to meet yourself where you are and do something positive for yourself, no matter what, it's all good. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. That's what I said earlier, right? Like, go for a walk with a friend. Check.
Yes. There you go.
It's
That's where it
about learning how to
starts.
age with strength and grace, right? Like giving ourselves some grace to move and live in a way that just honors it.
I think we just really need to. I think you had mentioned this prior about how we're so used to farming out our energy to everybody else that we need to start taking all that energy and placing it
Back.
here. We need to bring
That's
it
why I
back to
called it
ourselves.
reclaim, right? Because it's time
Yeah.
to turn the focus inward on our own needs, our own wants, our own desires, prioritizing our self-care. And it's much more, don't get me wrong, I love chocolate and bubble baths, but it's more than that, right? It's
Yes.
about practicing boundaries, about saying, no, that doesn't work for me without further explanation. It's about understanding our overarching people pleasing nature as women to
Yes.
do things that feel like learning those things with a therapist is a tremendous advantage at this stage. Some cognitive behavioral therapies.
Oh, yeah. I think I've learned through there are some positives about menopause. I used to be a people pleaser.
Mm.
I used to, say, oh, I want to make sure that this person knows whatever that is, whatever that looks like. And now I've reclaimed some of that back to me. Just because I have a blank space in my schedule for one or two clients, before I would just rush to fill them. And now I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't think so. I learned how to say no. That's
I
not
mean,
working for me right
that's
now.
not working for me right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
liberating. And we need more space for rest and ease and flow
Mm-hmm.
mentally.
Mm-hmm.
If you give yourself that pause
Mm-hmm.
to listen, perhaps menopause won't be so dramatic
Yes.
once you understand it. I mean, I think the reason why I'm so dedicated to this particular topic is because it
Mm-hmm.
was so destabilizing for me in
Mm-hmm.
such a massive way all at once, it felt like. And I never wanted somebody else to feel so
Mm-hmm.
unsupported in that way.
Yeah. I think it's menopause is almost, or even perimenopause is like you have this machine that's running beautifully, and then someone flips a pebble into it, and it affects the entire organization. Everything's clogged up,
Yes,
literally.
literally. And I mean, for me, it has also been a deep embrace of the
Mhm,
change of who I am, more of myself, right?
mhm,
This may sound a little dramatic, but in the Celtic tradition, there's like a stage of womanhood called the maiden, the mother, and the crone.
mhm,
In our early days as the young maiden, we're fresh and vibrant, and then you go through
mhm,
that more nurturing, maternal, whether you have children or
mhm.
not,
Or
phase.
not, yeah.
But there is a part of menopause that transitions from that to a more wise woman, more
Mhm,
empowered, grounded
mhm,
essence and energy. And once I flipped the script on that for myself, it felt so awesome to be able to say, I'm
mhm,
going to own this for myself. I've earned through lived
mhm.
experience this place in my life. I've been through some
Yes.
stuff. And everybody who arrives at
Mhm.
menopause, it is a place of privilege because you've been through life.
Right?
You've had the opportunity to
Exactly.
live a rich life.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's a matter of rewriting the story a bit.
Mhm. But I also feel as though it's also about not having to prove yourself anymore.
Mm.
Like someone can say something that's totally off the wall, and I don't feel like I have to jump in and save the conversation or whatever. I'm just like, okay, and you don't have to prove anything. As we're
No.
young, we feel like we have to prove ourselves at our job. We have to prove ourselves in our marriage. We have to prove ourselves as a mother and all of this other stuff. And now I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Ain't nobody got time for that anymore. Been there, done that. T-shirt. And if you aggravate me, guess what? We're gonna charge a tax. We're gonna charge a tax. I don't
Love
have time for
that.
that.
An aggravation tax. I love that. I'm going to remember that. So, Jill, this has been I feel like we could just keep talking and talking. Of course, it's my queen. Um, where can people find you? How can people connect with you? How can people ask questions? If they, and I'm sure they do because I still do about it, but where can they find you? Where can they get to your Reclaim program if they feel that's a good fit for you?
Awesome, for sure. You can find me on my website at
Mhm,
quintessentialswellness.com. You
mhm,
can also find me on Instagram at the same Quintessentials Wellness. On Facebook, also at
mhm,
Quintessentials Wellness Solutions. So those are the easiest ways to find me.
mhm,
On Instagram, you can click join the community, go to the website, schedule a
mhm,
consultation, poke around in there and have a look at some of the information that I have listed on my
mhm,
website. And I'm happy to do a complimentary consultation for anyone who
mhm,
has more questions.
mhm. This is such a huge part of our lives
Mm,
that a lot of times we tend to stick our head in the sand because we're like la 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 la, I don't want to hear it, right? But then it comes to a point where you have to do something, and then you're in, like I was, desperation mode.
mm,
Don't get into that mode.
please
Don't get
don't.
into desperation mode. Find out a little information yourself. Find out what maybe could or could not work for you, and then talk to somebody. I'm not going to say not to talk to your doctor, but talk to someone who specializes in HRT. Talk to Jill. I know this girl. I can vouch for her. Talk to someone about it. Start to get oh, this works for you. This didn't work for you. And start being your own advocate for yourself because now's the time. The kids are already out of the house, or maybe they're getting ready to be out of the house. You're going to be in this whole empty nest thing. Now's the time to focus on you. I'm pointing
Hmm.
at me. Focus on you.
And it can
Mhm,
be
mhm.
a beautiful experience, an
Yeah.
opportunity for you to
Mhm,
create the next chapter, like I said before, with strength,
mhm,
with grace, with humor,
mhm,
with authority, and the
mhm.
wisdom of your lived experience.
Jill, thank you so much for doing this. I so appreciate you, my friend.
I appreciate you too.
If you want to reach out to Jill, please do so. She's an awesome person, and I just had so much fun. I wanted you to be here last year and you couldn't, and I'm so glad you could be here. So remember, tomorrow is day 4, and we're going to be talking about plant-based eating. And our guest is going to be Kim White. And she's been plant-based for, like, I don't know, forever. It feels like
Mm.
3,000 days or something like that. And we're going to be talking about some things about plant-based and what it can do for you. So until next time, and
Thank
actually
you
until
so much.
tomorrow. You're welcome. Thank you, Jill. Bye,
My
guys.
pleasure.